Welcome to the Gold Standard here on the 440 Sports Network. That is Emma Lingan. I am Braden Gall. We are brought to you by Sinkers Beverages USA. Emma, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm well. I'm a newly minted speed skating fan as of about 20 minutes ago. So it's a good day for me.
I got the Gold Zone going right now. Watched UC Saros give up a few weak goals. So it's like NHL season is still happening. No, look, what's my favorite thing about the Olympics, and we're going to talk a lot about the U.S. men's national team opportunity to win a gold medal for the first time in 46 years. Obviously, you all know what year that was. There's documentaries and movies all over the place about it. It's special. It's awesome. It's amazing. Can they do it again? The women's team has been totally dominant through their group stage. And, of course, after 4 straight wins, they're going to begin their run at a gold medal as well. So we have lots of good stuff. CAA and their divorce with the Predators. So the GM search for the Preds getting off to a great start. Some rumors swirling around the trades that can't really happen. But we know the GMs are all chatting. We know they're all talking. So rumors are swirling and getting out. So, yes, Slovakia got the note on UC being short. There you go. Happy hump day, kids, from Kevin. Good to see you. Game 1 of the hockey tournament delivered. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's right, because Slovakia upset Finland. Finland, one of the top 4 teams statistically from an odds standpoint to win the gold medal. And what's up, Go Forth? Good to see you as well. CAA tribute video. That's good, Kevin. That's good. Why is the NHL so sensitive about the player, coach, GM, contract representatives? I can't think of the term right now. There you go. So that's just you guys in the comments already. If you want to get involved, thumbs up on YouTube, notifications turned on, etc., etc. Share it on Twitter and Facebook as well if you see us there. Okay, so you mentioned like becoming a speed skating expert in a matter of seconds. I do find it's almost impossible, and I
did say fan, not expert, but fan. Yes.
I find it fascinating. Like, me and my wife are sitting there watching downhill, and downhill is one of my favorite Olympic sports, like, period. And like, I don't watch skiing any other time, but man, I love downhill. It's like the most insane Olympic sport, I feel like, of both, like maybe the high jump in when they use or pole vault, maybe, like, where you're just like, why are you that high in the air? Downhill is insane. But what happens is every event, everyone watching who has never seen these sports before instantly turns into an expert. You're like, oh, look at that knee bobble right there going around that gate in downhill. And you're like, oh, that was rough. I can't believe she did that. I can't believe that she did that, or he did that, or you're instantly an expert on like the tiniest minutia on a sport that you've never watched before. And I'm just as guilty as anybody else.
Yeah, no, I was doing that with the speed skating. I was like, oh, well, they're gonna, he moved his knee after he said set. So now they're gonna have to restart. It was a false start. That guy who I've never heard of until 5 minutes ago, obviously, you got to watch out for that. Yeah. Also, apparently the Netherlands really fast as a country. Fast skaters as a country. Seems like they're well represented at this event, just learning new things every day.
I have no idea if this is true or not, so it's very responsible reporting. But it's the Olympics, we don't cover it. I was watching the is it like a 1 mile cross country race where you're sprinting around the course, which has some ups, some hills, some downs. It's about a mile. I think it's about a mile long. I'm not sure. But the USA sprinter on cross country skiing finished second. The Norwegian is like the guy who looks like a Viking, and he just runs up hills faster than everybody else. Like, he's just like, I can do this, and no one else on earth can do this. I saw a stat that said he was averaging a sub 6 minute mile on skis uphill. I was like, GTFOH.
Yeah, that's no.
What?
No. Where Usain Bolt on skis, like, that's no.
Yeah,
that's just not human. That's crazy.
And
I was watching the thing that gets me is the other day I was watching now I'm forgetting what it's called, snowboarding, but it's like the big air. I know what snowboarding is, but it was like the big air, I think is what it's called, where it's like
freestyle big air half pipe.
Yeah, it was the women's big air, and half of these women were like 16 years old. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell was I doing at 16? Like studying for my history test? Like, I don't, it's crazy. And
Yeah.
then you see someone who's like 24 come up. It's like, oh, wow, she's old. She's a veteran.
Ancient. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the men's freestyle skier Alex Hall, I think is his name. It's like his third Olympics. He's already won 2 golds, and he's 27 years old. And you're like, what?
Like, what are we doing?
Like, oh, he's got one more left in the tank. Like what? What are we talking? So I'm watching. I will say, of all the worst possible event is clearly the 2-person luge, the 2-man luge for sure. Because I don't know if you're probably too young for this, but Robin Williams. We'll talk hockey here in a second. It's a break. It's an Olympic break. There's a Robin Williams skit, his Live on Broadway skit from like 1999 or 2000, which is one of the greatest stand-up routines of all time. And he does a whole thing about like, why would anyone want to go do the luge? And he's like, well, yes, I'm gonna dress like a sperm. I'm gonna shove an ice skate in my ass and go balls first down a chute at 100 miles an hour. It's like, who wants to do that? And then do it with another person sitting on top of them.
Yeah, the 2-person luge looks weird. I think bobsled looks so fun. The single person luge, solo luge, I don't know what it's called, looks really fun until you remember that, like, I feel like every Olympics we get some kind of story about like someone is injured or even killed during like a training exercise doing the luge because they're moving so fast. I'm like, it does look kind of fun.
My kids have watched they've watched Miracle, of course. We've watched Remember the Titans, like any sports movie, they've watched almost all of them, but Cool Runnings was up there, man. Cool Runnings was up there for the kiddos. So, all right, that thus concludes our cross-country sprinting, 2-man luge, speed skating, and big air competition expertise. We will focus on hockey the rest of the way. Mitch says one of my favorite stand-up specials. His explanation on golf in that special also is one of the greatest golf routines in the history of comedy as well. R.I.P. Robin Williams. We'll start with some Preds stuff, then we'll get quickly into sort of some women's hockey, and then we'll finish with a big conversation around can the U.S. actually win a gold medal. And so I wanted to start with the CAA rumors, or the CAA divorce, I should say, not trade rumors. Obviously, and Nate already kind of asked the question. I think there's questions about like why was this such a big deal? Clearly, there can be some conflict of interest if you have like an agent representing a player who's also representing the GM and the team. Like I understand in the moment that can be conflict of interest, but that's not really what this is. This is more just like background search information. Could CAA limit the Preds to people that they want to promote? Certainly, I would be concerned if I'm a Predators fan about that. What did you make of the divorce? And as it turns out, our favorite reporter, he was right.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I really don't know the answer to any of this in terms of like how are fans supposed to feel. Obviously I can't tell you how to feel. You feel however you want to feel about it. But I think that there's arguments on both sides. I think, like you said, there would certainly be the inclination for the for the agency to promote candidates who they represent, of course. So that could be a pro to them no longer being affiliated with this search. That would be a good thing in theory. But then also, and I think we touched on this last week, I'm like, I don't know that I trust this group of individuals who are on this search committee to really do a comprehensive search, not to do a comprehensive search, but I kind of
value. How about to value outside opinion as much as the inside opinion?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, that's what I was getting at. I trust them to do the search and to be comprehensive in their search, but I think that getting, outside opinion, outside input, getting out of their comfortable little bubble where they have lived since 1998, which I think would be a good thing. But, there might be other ways to accomplish that.
I am like, there are search firms. There are other search firms that you could use if what you need is the background checks and the legwork and collecting data and information about scheme and strategy and philosophy and decision making, and like if you need all that stuff, there are other places to get that information. I feel like maybe not as much as there are in other sports, but I feel like there are other places to get that if you really want it.
There are, for sure there are. I'm sure all of this just came from someone had a connection. I mean, Nick Saban is represented by CAA. I think Forsberg and someone else represented by CAA. The point is that, like, it's definitely, in these kinds of things, it's always about who you know, right? It's always about who do you have an in with, who do you have a connection with. I'm sure CAA was the easy answer. Not trying to say that they were cutting corners or anything like that, but it's like more of a let's work smarter, not harder kind of thing, and go with the firm that we have an established relationship with. And like you said, there are others that they can go with, but it's going to be hard to do when there is going to be so much overlap, because whether it's like CAA or Wasserman or whoever, I don't know. I think you're just going to have a lot of overlap if you do decide to go with a completely outside firm.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that as well. So that's my ultimate question is, how concerned are you now that they will maintain the Predator way? How concerned are you that not only if you read kind of between the lines, if you go rewatch Haslam's press conference where he's kind of like, he's kind of alluding to the fact that he doesn't want to tear it down, which we talked about last week. But now that there's no outside influence and the search committee is either internal voices or names or experts within it's Trotz. It doesn't sound like Nickel Kelty and Brian Poyle will be involved. I imagine David Poyle will have access to people's ears if he needs to, but Kennedy and Michelle Kennedy and Sean Henry and Bill Haslam and Nick Saban, like there's not a lot of like longtime external NHL like minds in that group. So I hope they are relying on other people. I'm a little concerned that it gives them an excuse to sort of stick with what they know instead of trying to reimagine what they are.
I mean, considering that was already a concern of mine, even with CAA being involved, now that they're not involved, that's still a big concern of mine. And a part of it, I think, is because at the end of the day, it's Bill Haslam's call to make, right? He's the owner. And so we talked about this last week on, in terms of what direction does he want to take with this team? Is he comfortable with the status quo? Just like be entertaining enough to sell tickets and, just kind of stay the course? Or is he going to want to do the more, the aggressive full send and we're going to tear it down and rebuild? Not that you can do that all right now anyway, but I mean, is that kind of the long-term goal for him? And I think he is it's really not fair to speculate. All I can say is that based on what he said at the press conference with Barry Trotz, he didn't really sound like a guy that was trying to full send tear it down. But at the same time, maybe you're just being respectful to Barry Trotz, who's literally sitting right next to you. So you don't want to go and be like, all right, once this guy's gone, here's what we're going to do. So like, I think that there's both sides of it, but I just think that there's a lot of years of reasoning for me to believe that they are going to go outside, or they're not going to go outside of their comfort zone with this.
Yeah. And I'm okay with fans being frustrated or concerned about that. But I also think it's still so early in the process that we can just say, look, we'll give you a shot. We'll give you a chance. Go do the work. Go do your diligence. You've got whatever it is, 10 more days now. Go get the work done. See what names we start to see surface. And if we start to see names surface that are clearly, if there's more Brendan Shanahan rumors, that kind of stuff, right? Like those kinds of names. And I'm not saying he's the right answer or not, but like you start to see those kinds of names, then what they're doing is they're clearly putting out feelers. They're clearly going outside of their network and they're going outside to look at other options. Even if they don't make that decision ultimately, that's a good sign, right? That's what you're looking for over the course of the next few weeks is what names are starting to leak, what names are starting to be connected. Oh, there's mutual interest between so-and-so. Like that's kind of what you're looking for. over the course of the next few weeks. Please share the product if you can find us on Twitter, if you can find us on Facebook, and if you're watching on YouTube, please share that show. We do appreciate you guys. Thumbs up, notifications turned on, etc., etc., etc. Let's see here. Nate says some of you comments. JAP says Team USA beat Team Canada in the Four Nation preliminary game where the fights broke out. They should have won the Four Nation tournament. They lucked out in OT. Bennington and Team Canada got very lucky. Look at us with our hubris. Look how that's all. USA was better. Now, we are the best team we've ever had, so we'll get to that coming up. The 2010 Team USA Olympic hockey team also beat Team Canada in Vancouver. Sounds like these are a lot of like almost moments for us.
You don't get credit for almost.
Yeah. I think this was this is from More to Explore. I think this was discussed last week, but where did you both land on who wanted the rebuild, Barry or ownership? That's clearly the divide that pushed Barry out, in his opinion. Well, so I think it's more about once you decide you're retiring, it's better to get it over with. But I do think that the timing prior to the Olympic break, prior to the trade deadline, giving this team 30 plus days to sort of reevaluate itself, I think clearly played a role. And I think Barry Trotz was more open to the idea of rebuild than Governor Haslam. That's where I would stand right now. We'll call that informed speculation. I don't know where you're at on that.
Yeah, I would say informed speculation. It's not reporting. And it's, again, like, if we go strictly based on what they said, there was no difference in opinion, and that had nothing to do with this. I think realistically, I don't know. I think that it was Barry Trotz knew he was going to retire. And a lot of, like, if you go to your job, and say, hey, I think I'm going to be stepping down in a year or whatever. Well, the job is probably going to be like, okay, well then let's get out ahead of this. Let's be prepared and let's be ready for when you leave. And so a lot of them will just say, like, no, thanks. You can see yourself out now, kind of thing. And so I think that's really more of what it is. I know it's tempting and it's more interesting. It's more exciting. It's more dramatic to say, like, oh, there is this big divide in their opinion on the future of the franchise. Was there likely a little bit of that? Sure. But I don't think that's what prompted this at all. I think it's just something that is sort of a side effect, or not even effect. It's a side piece of all of this.
A side piece. Governor Haslam's side piece. I think what happened was Barry Trotz said, I'm out of here. And then I do think the timing of the announcement is tied to, well, we've got to pick a strategy here, and I'm the owner of the team, and you're not going to be here anymore. I do think that's the timing of the announcement, I think, is tied to that strategy decision. I think the impetus behind all of it was that Barry Trotz in December said, I'm going to retire in 18 months. Hey, what do you think the exit strategy should be? And Governor Haslam's like, well, sooner rather than later would be best. Like, that's, and I think that's true. I think that is what's best. So as Kevin says, lots of places walk you out when you give a notice, basically. So there you go. Best decor in USA history, says Mitch Copley. Copley? Is that correct, Mitch? So we'll get to that coming up momentarily. Sinkers Beverages, everybody. Let me make sure I promote our great and amazing local sponsor, Sinkers Beverages. Great craft beer fridge, great bourbon selection, great customer appreciation group. It's called the In Crowd. You can sign up, and they will give you a couple of notices a year on some really good stuff. They have free tastings all the time on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays when you go in there. They've got things that you can try, whether it's wine. I found a wine that my wife absolutely loves. I have no idea what it is, Emma. It's like, I know that it's not even a single wine. It's like a combo of like different kinds of wines. And I'm just like,
I believe they call that a blend.
Blend. Yeah, it's a white blend.
Yes.
And it wasn't like I have no idea what brand it is, and I have no idea. I know where to find it in the store because they had a tasting. And my girl, Savannah, who's amazing, knows everything there is to know about wine. I walk in and she goes, hey, you want to try these three? And I was like, sure. Try them. I'm like, that's really yummy. It's not too sweet, not too dry, just right. Took it home for Thanksgiving. Everybody loves it. And now that's the only one my wife wants me to buy. So this is what Sinkers does. They can help you find something new that you're going to add to your cabinet at all times. And now we have like a wine that we drink. I never had that before. Now I have one. Thanks, Sinkers. Go to Sinkers Beverages, everybody. Quickly here, rumors. I'm gonna rattle off some rumors. You tell me what you think. Okay.
Okay.
Mutual interest in Jonathan Marchessault being traded from both the player and the team. We know other organizations are interested in acquiring this player and his contract. It did not work here. It is okay to say that. It doesn't mean people deserve to be fired. It didn't work here. He is of value to another team. He will probably waive his no trade clause. If Emma, he can go to a city with a great minor league or development hockey infrastructure, I assume, for his children. I think it's something they have to do. I think the Preds have to move this contract if they can.
Yeah. I think you move him, you trade him if you can. Obviously, like you said, he would have to waive his no trade clause. And yes, I think the minor hockey thing for his kids, I'm sure that's important to him. But if there was a situation where, like, I don't know. I mean, if he was, I mean, it's really not relevant right now, but I guess
like Florida could win a third cup, Tampa Bay could win a cup. Are you gonna?
I
There's
was gonna
clearly not
say,
good infrastructure in South Florida.
here's the thing. Neither of those teams have the cap space to fit Marchessault right now, nor do they really need him as much as some other contending teams might. But I was going to use Tampa as the example. I was like, are you really going to turn down a trade to Tampa? But I mean, you know, I think the bottom line is it would have to be a contending team.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like, oh, like,
Yeah.
let's send you to Columbus. Like, it's not going to happen that way.
Other rumor is Steven Stamkos could be traded and is likely, but not in the season, probably in the off season, which I think is totally fine, and also has to agree to the no trade clause movement as well. What are your thoughts on an off season move for Stamkos?
I would personally give it 50-50. I don't know that it's as likely. Potentially, maybe I could see him getting traded closer to the end of his contract, maybe give it one more year. But I don't really know. I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other.
I think the offseason makes a lot of sense. Just strategically for both the team acquiring him and for the team trading him in Nashville. So I think that makes a lot of sense to me. Open for business on Ryan O'Reilly, Michael Bunting, Eric Halla, Michael McCarron. Chances are that a few of them go. I assume that O'Reilly stays put based on asking price. Seems like Halla and Bunting, as we have circled them all along, are the two primary. Bunting almost got traded to the Islanders. So I assume we could, like, the day we come back from the Olympic break, there is a trade on the table that is announced for Halla and Bunting. I could see that happening. You've been on the Michael McCarron isn't going anywhere bandwagon. So how do you feel about those four names?
I still don't think McCarron's going anywhere. I still think, I'm not trying to overvalue him for what he is, but I think that he, in a team that just woefully lacks any kind of center depth, he and O'Reilly are the two centers who you actually know what you're going to get from them. They actually give you any kind of consistency. You put them out there, you know what you're going to get from them. So if you have a fourth line center who's reliable, who's dependable, who's big, and who you know what you're going to get from him, then why would you try to trade him? Now, if someone comes and offers you an insane, package in return, well, then you have to do your job. But I don't see them being as willing to get rid of him. I still think Bunting is the most valuable trade piece they have. I think he would be a great fit on a contending team. He's a shit disturber. He gets in front of the net. Like, guys absolutely hate playing against him. So I think that makes sense. You can also play him top six, bottom six. He really works anywhere. Halla also has, I think, increased his trade value this season from where it was at the beginning of the year. Also, he's a center, and everybody needs centers. So I could see that. The problem there, though, is that right now, you trade Halla, you have to bring Svechkov back. And if he sucks again, like he did at the start of the year, then you don't really have an option to send him back down.
Well,
so
losing games unintentionally is also a strategy.
Yeah.
It's also a thing.
So again, that's not, to be clear, that's not an argument against trading Halla. I still think you have to trade him. But the point is, it's just kind of the reality of the situation that we're in.
Just a thought from Nate. Just a thought on how is Saban involved in this happy-go-lucky franchise. He's a I don't care how you feel coach. This organization cares too much about individuals for his taste. He must hate it. I think you're putting a lot of you're projecting a lot onto a guy who's in a different chapter of his life, in a different role, all of 2% of the ownership group. Now, I do think he has the most experience when it comes to evaluating the skill it takes to run a large sports organization. I think he's got more experience evaluating that than almost anybody else in the building. So I think having him there as an ear to bend, I think, is valuable. I hope that Nick Saban is not really truly involved in all of this. All right, so here's what I would do if I'm the GM. I'm going to take all those trade rumors and put them into how I would pitch myself and this may be what keeps me from getting the job as a general manager, Emma. If you can trade Jonathan Marchessault, Eric Holla, and Michael Bunting at this deadline in the next month, I think that is a huge success. If you can move Steven Stamkos in the offseason and then Ryan O'Reilly at next year's deadline, you should be able to look at your roster and have the whole new chapter ready to go. I'm not saying they're going to do that. I'm not saying that they have the ability to do that. But if you can get rid of them, if you take whatever you can get for Jonathan Marchessault, take a 5th round pick, take a 4th round pick, don't care. Holla and Bunting, maximize your value. Trade Stamkos in the offseason, trade O'Reilly. It is a systematic removal of aging veteran contracts to get yourself to a place where you have space and slots to play young players. That would be the strategy. If you can move all those pieces and sort of each time we have a moment to do that, they do something like that, that would be the sales pitch I would want to hear from a prospective general manager.
I totally agree. I think that seems like the most obvious path forward at this point when you just look at what the roster is right now. I still think that, trading Holla and Bunting, and I mean, I'll throw Marchessault in there too, but really Holla and Bunting, that's just basic like business 101. That's trade deadline 101. Yep. Marchessault you throw in there, that's good business. Now all of this is going to depend on what kind of return they can get. The problem, maybe not even necessarily the problem, but just the reality of making deadline trades is that you're really only going to get draft picks in return. And again, I'm not saying that's necessarily a objectively bad thing if you're Nashville, but I think you have to look at what do you as the fans, like what do you expect to get in a Marchessault trade, for example? If you want more than draft picks, then it would probably have to wait till the offseason. I'm not saying that you need NHL ready, like top line talent for Marchessault. That's not realistic. But I just think that a lot of people, I've just seen a lot of opinions being like, well, we don't need more draft picks. It's like, well, that's probably all you're going to get at the deadline. So get ready.
I've seen a lot of reports about teams doing both, like buying and selling a little bit. I don't know if that's like the Seattles of the world or people trying to move on old contracts and acquire young pieces or vice versa. What do you make of that element to all of this? That seems like an interesting twist to maybe the deadline.
I mean, have we seen it actually happen yet? That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, to me, it's all talk until it actually happens. Because you can say what you want, like, oh, I want to do this. They want to move this contract and get this player, but like until it actually happens, I don't know how seriously we're supposed to take that.
Kevin, I'm not sure I even like most of the USA players to cheer for them. GTFOH, Kevin. All right. Look, if you don't like the Super Bowl halftime show, go somewhere else. Okay. That's all I got to say to you, Kevin. As a Norwegian, I feel sort of objective regarding USA's chances. Compared to Canada, the U.S. is at least on par, if not better on D and goalies. Canada's 4 lines up front just look insane. Basically, he just did our whole show. That's the whole thing. We're better on the blue line. We have better goalies. They have better offensive players. Let's get it on. That's basically where we're at. So Sinkers, Beverages, everybody. We'll talk Olympics here. The USA women 20-1, 20 goals for, 1 goal against, 3 shutouts in their 4 wins in the group stage, including one of the most lopsided wins over Team Canada we've ever seen in women's hockey, 5-0 yesterday. Frankel, is that the name of the goaltender? She has been outstanding. They will play Italy on the 13th, which is coming up in a couple of days. And then if they win that match, they will go to the semifinal on the 16th. The gold medal match is on the 19th. Canada, of course, as a reminder, they won the gold in Beijing. and they did not have their captain in this matchup, who is the number 1 player in the world, Marie-Philippe Roulin. Did I get that right?
Poulin.
Oh, see, I can't even read my own handwriting. That's what that is.
Yeah,
It's
I
it's
mean,
a P. You're correct. It's a P.
I don't want to take anything away from Team USA because you're right. Their performance in this first round, I mean, they've looked better than I've ever seen them. But I think definitely the loss of Poulin in yesterday's game, or not having her in that game, was massive for Canada. I mean, she's just one of those makes everyone around her play better types. And I do think, I mean, informed speculation again, but I think that when she was injured, when was it, against Finland, Switzerland?
Tuesday. Yeah, I think it was Finland.
Finland.
Tuesday, I think. Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was injured. She went into the boards kind of weird, and then she came back out, played a shift, and then she was like, nah, and she went down the tunnel. And a lot of this, I think, has to do with let's not risk it. And, you know, we already know that we're going to make it to the bracket, so let's not risk it now. Let's have her healthy.
And that's a big part of that's a big part of the men's tournament as well, because most, like, unless you are one of the worst of the 12 teams, you're going to automatically skip to the quarters, right? So you can make mistakes, you can slip up, you can lose a game, men and women, and still have an opportunity to get into the bracket and then win when it matters, right? So I think Canada clearly saw that. They will reseed. I saw the matchups being Canada and Germany, Czechia and Sweden, Finland and Switzerland as the 4 quarterfinal matchups for the women, but I think they reseed. Canada and Germany will play on the 14th, and so I hope that it's a gold medal match with Canada. It feels like they're the best 2 teams, certainly, in this tournament. So we'll see what happens, but go USA women. So
yeah, Canada is much better than they looked in the game yesterday, because they're a much better team than that.
All right, let's get to the men here. And yes, I agree with many of you in the comments that Patrick Kane is the only one I had a tough time rooting for, says Josh. Kane was invited to orientation camp, but he's not listed on the roster, says JP. So I agree. Patrick Kane, very hard to root for in general, just across the board. But when he's doing the sick dangles in a USA sweater, I don't hate it as much. How about that? Well, he's not a part of this team, really. Really, he's not a part of this team.
He's not this. I get it. In the past, he was hard to root for, but this is what makes this so interesting, is that this is the first time for a lot of these guys, like the first Olympics for a lot of these guys, because the NHL has not been in the Olympics for so long. I mean, it's crazy to think guys like Connor McDavid, he's never played in the Olympics before. You know, it's interesting, I think. And
I'm sure he'll crumble in Game 7 like he always does. No, just kidding, Connor. So a couple of nuggets here. USA has not won a gold medal since 46 years, which of course is the Miracle on Ice team in 1980 in Lake Placid over the Russians. I think this is correct, but correct me if I'm wrong. Drew Doughty and Sidney Crosby for Team Canada could become the first 2 NHLers ever to win 3 gold medals in hockey, which is a really prestigious honor, even for Team Canada. Like, that's a big deal.
So and you know who's already done that on the women's side? Marie-Philippe Poulin. Just saying.
Anyway. The USA will play Latvia on the 12th, Denmark on the 14th, and Germany on the 15th. That is largely considered the weakest of the 3 groups that are in there. The betting odds currently: Canada plus 105 to win the gold, USA number 2 at plus 190. Then there's a drop to Sweden at plus 550, featuring Philip Forsberg. Finland at plus 1,300 began the day at plus 1,300 as the 4th team. But like we were just saying, they got beat today by Slovakia. Saros gave up 3 goals. You got Eric Hall on that team as well. Really good top line for Finland, which is really interesting. Sweden, of course, in the 4 Nations tournament had that like they just got boat raced in like 1 period, and then they all got sick and couldn't. So I think Sweden is pretty motivated, but Finland's already been upset. You got Czechia at plus 2,200, then Switzerland at plus 3,500, featuring Roman Josi. Germany, a lot of people are circling Germany as like the sneaky upset team to watch. That's, of course, Leon Draisaitl. And they're at plus 10,000. Then it's Slovakia, then Latvia, then Denmark, then Italy, the host nation, and then France. And the USA is in a group with three teams that have to be considered, the lower half of this tournament. My first question is, does it benefit your team or does it hurt the USA that they are going to be playing in a quote unquote easier bracket, an easier group? Like, do you need the challenge? Do you need the battle tested kind of difficult third periods? Or is it good to build chemistry and find space and create offense? Like, what do you make of that element of all? Is it good that it's an easy group or bad that it's an easy group?
I don't know. Honestly, I feel like you can make the argument either way. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of hindsight is 2020 evaluations of that aspect, depending on how this turns out for Team USA. I mean, it's too hard to say. I don't think in the end that it's going to matter all that much. But I mean, like we just saw with Finland and Slovakia, first of all, I'm not gonna go on a rant, but like stop making this all about UC Saros. It is not about Saros. Why is nobody talking about Sebastian Aho just falling down in the middle of the ice? The entire Finnish team played like garbage today. Okay. And it wasn't, I'm not defending Saros. I'm just
jet
pointing
lag.
out.
It's jet lag.
I'm pointing out the fact that the entire team looked awful. Also, let's put some respect on Slovakia because they've got actual legitimate NHL talent on that team. Not as much as Finland, but they have it. Slafkovsky, Dvorsky, like a lot of those guys. So I'm just gonna put that out there.
Name a goaltender for Slovakia.
All of which is to say, all of which is is Dobish on their team?
Nope.
No, he's not
Nope.
Slovakia. He's Czech and Slovakia. I don't know. Anyway, the point is we're not talking about goalies. I'm talking about scoring talent. They have real scoring talent. And I think that all of that is just to support my argument that at the end of the day, this is best on best, right? It's the best of their country. Yeah. There's going to be upsets and it doesn't necessarily matter. Like, let's not talk about Slovakia like this is the Jamaican bobsled team coming in here and trying to win.
Hey, they won gold. Okay. You better slow down.
Yeah, but I'm just saying a lot of people doubted him.
So maybe here's a better question then, because I think it benefits the USA. Like I think it benefits them. Number one, they can maybe figure, like in a perfect situation, it would be Connor Hellebuck's net, but he's been injured and he hasn't had as good a season. Jeremy Swayman has been outstanding and has the best season of the three goaltenders. Jake Ottinger's the other one. They have a huge advantage in net over other teams. So I would think that having those three games, I don't think you want to play a goalie in each game, but I do think you want to use the first game against Latvia and Denmark, the two worst teams, and then have your guy set for the Germany match in the third game. But that gives you 2 games to figure it out. And I think that is of benefit potentially for the USA. And my follow-up question is, like, do you think that the style of hockey will be different than the Four Nations? Because the Four Nations was physical. It was fights. It was forechecking. It was dump and chase. It was not a lot of like free and open skating with a lot, like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm curious what style of play do you think we see? And does that change your opinion on, like, I don't mind the USA easing into it because you're going to have to flip a switch in the medal rounds or in the tournament more so than in the group stage anyway. So I actually think it's a benefit, but I see both sides.
I mean, well, first of all, there's no fighting allowed in the Olympics, so you're going to take that aspect of it. You can still be physical, of course, but fighting, you're not going to have guys on your rosters just to be like enforcers because, I mean, or you shouldn't, at least that shouldn't be your strategy because there's no fighting allowed. You get a misconduct if you fight in the Olympics. That being said, the physicality aspect, I think, is where the U.S. is going to have a huge advantage over some of the other teams that you mentioned, teams like Latvia, things like that, where they might have scoring talent. A team like that, the USA may be able to overpower them strictly with their physicality. I don't know once you get into like the Germanys of the world, the Germanys, obviously the Canadas, but I think that you're, and then the Finlands, the Swedens, I think that you're going to have to get a little bit more creative with your scoring. And that is where I genuinely worry about the US. I think that if you're asking me right now, if it's USA, Canada, I'm taking Canada all day because I think that they just have a more talented forward group. They have more talented scorers on their team. Yes, the US has better goaltending. Yes, the defense as a whole is better. But I think if you just look at the depth of Canada's forward group, it's unreal. And in Olympic hockey, in international hockey, you're not doing the dump and chase and the shoving guys around thing. I mean, you actually
Right.
have the room to get creative
Yeah.
with your playmaking and to generate offense. And it's not just about shoving guys off the puck as much as it is in the NHL.
Well, and that's why I like the quote unquote weaker group start. I like that because so if you're looking at there's lots of stuff to get here. We'll get to Quinn Hughes. We'll get to USA staying in the Olympic Village and Canada staying in a hotel, etc. All kinds of fun stuff to look at. But it's Eichel and the Kachuk brothers, right? Should be on a line. You should have Matthews with Jake Gensel and Boldy on a line potentially. It sounds like Kyle Connor, Dylan Larkin, and Tage Thompson were on a line in practice as well. And then you've got the JT Miller, Brock Nelson, and Jack Hughes line as well. That could be a group. It looks like Vincent Trocheck and Clayton Keller are the two guys kind of odd man out, so to speak. But you've got two guys that could come in and play every different role. Certainly Trocheck could be an active player that comes in like the dirty situations, like the Colton Sissons of a U.S. Olympic team, I guess maybe is the way you'd look at that. Obviously very different talent level there. But I think giving those guys an opportunity to find the space to create offense together and to learn to play with speed and fluidity, I think that benefits them to play Latvia, Denmark, and Germany, and even to build up within the group to go Latvia, Denmark, and then get to your tougher match in the third game. I think actually benefits the USA. I personally think so.
I think it does in that way. But again, I think there's nuance to it. It's not just like, oh, it's great. They don't have tough opponents. They can just ease into it. I think it's beneficial in the sense that I think you're saying, which is that you are playing against teams that are probably going to have a leg up on you, not in terms of skill or in terms of, size or whatever, but just in terms of this international hockey. I think that Olympic hockey,
the cohesiveness, right, inside the
yeah,
roster.
because
Yeah.
Olympic hockey is not going to be won on raw physicality or raw speed on its own. It's just not. And so I think that, it's going to be won in those small margins. It's going to be won in those tight spaces where you create offense and you have to actually I don't know, you have to have a layered defensive system. You have to have offensive creativity that's going to penetrate the structure of your opponent. And when there is such a clear, just raw skill divide between you and your opponent, I think it gives you the opportunity to get better at those things. Now, do they take that opportunity? Let's hope so.
Yeah.
But I think that, if I'm looking at Team USA going into this tournament, I'm kind of watching them with one eyebrow raised.
I think that's fair. JP says, should have given the captain status to Eichel or Werenski, not Austin Matthews, even Kachuk. Where are you at on the captaincy on that one?
I don't care. I'm sorry, I don't care. It's really kind of meaningless.
But it speaks to, so this is the other thing that I think, to your point about the side eye to some degree, I think, which is Canada having their own hotel, which is not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. But the Olympic Village is a very distracting place. We've all heard the stories about how distracting the Olympic Village can be. The living arrangements are not plush and fancy. It's chaotic. It's distracting. It's loud. There's a lot going on. Team Canada's in its own hotel, separate and sort of isolated to just kind of stay focused. And so they have arrived in an all business sort of fashion. This is what they live for. And so the question is do you need somebody, and to your point about the Italian team and some of these teams, they all play together all the time because they're not NHL players. So they're all in the same club teams in these professional ranks in European leagues. And so there is something to be said about cohesion and knowledge base and knowing where the other player is going to be all the time because you play so much together. So I am
And just,
curious.
like, general IAHF rules and the
Right.
way that the game is
Right.
played and
Right.
what the refs are gonna put up with and what they aren't, just things like that.
So is there something to be said about that with the captaincy? Because like if Crosby is just like this, permanently awesome glue guy, right? That just leads all the time. This is like the Predators Brady Martin thing, right? Like they want Brady Martin to be the leader of the Canadian junior team. It is. I could see Eichel or Kachuk being a better choice for that, but I know your basic point is it doesn't matter, and I think that's probably fair. But I'm just curious how all the other stuff factors into this. Like, it's not that they're not taking it seriously, but should they stay off campus? Should they have a different captain? Should they be, what I'm saying? Like, there's all these little things that will go into, 8 minutes to go in the third period, down by 1. That's where it matters.
Yeah. No, I mean, but again, depending on what the outcome is in all of this, you're gonna see the narrative get twisted or you're gonna see all of these things get like twisted to fit that narrative, right? So if the US comes out victorious, well, then it was a good thing that they stayed in the Olympic Village. It was all for team building. It was good for the cohesion, all of that. Now, if they lose, well, obviously it's because they stayed in the Olympic Village and not in a hotel. They didn't take it seriously, right? So like there's arguments on both sides. If we're just talking about the captaincy for US, I'm just looking at who on the US team is a captain on their respective NHL teams. I might even throw a guy like Dylan Larkin in there. I think if you're just looking at who is a tenured captain who can handle the pressure, the microscope, the media, all of that. I mean, Austin Matthews probably fits the bill better than anyone else.
Sure.
Just in terms of like, I mean, he hasn't been a captain that long, but he has arguably been a face of a franchise for a long time. He's been in the media hellscape that is Toronto and just, Canadian hockey.
Yeah.
And I think he can probably navigate a lot of this well, a lot of the outside noise very well. So
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't really either. How would you manage the goaltending situation? Who would you start in game 1? How much run would you give the other guys? When do you want to have a number 1 figured out? How would you handle that?
I don't know. It's hard. My gut is saying you start with Ottinger. Like I just think that
Really?
he's the guy you go with. But I also understand you want to ride the hot hand, and that's been Swayman. Um, I think that right now Hellebuck, and it's crazy to say, but Hellebuck is firmly your third string goalie, and that's crazy to say, but I think that's just where we are now.
Swayman's
In
had the best
terms
season. Hellebuck is the best player. Ottinger's just like happy to be there.
I think Ottinger, like, if you're just looking at overall body of work, Ottinger is better than
He's just a
Swayman.
chill dude, though. He's just like, I'm just here to hang out.
I think Ottinger overall is, has a better body of work than Swayman does, but Swayman has had a better year this year. Ottinger still hasn't had a bad year. Like, let's be clear about that. So I don't know. I
think I would start Hellebuck and see what he's got. And if it's not good, you go to Swayman in game 2. And then you've got Ottinger just sitting there waiting if you need him. That's my strategy. But I think you need to know your order by the Germans.
Yeah.
I think you need to have it figured out by the Germany game.
Yeah.
Quinn Hughes did not play in the Four Nations tournament. There's a handful of these guys that did not play. I think Heiskanen, right, didn't play.
Yeah, he was injured.
He was injured. So other than him, I think Quinn Hughes is maybe the biggest addition for any team, because otherwise the rosters are very similar to what they were in the Four Nations for all the Four Nations teams in that tournament. Quinn Hughes already in practice is a leader, vocal leader, and is taking command of the roster. I think Hughes is a huge addition to the team, which is already probably the best blue line in the tournament, best goaltending group in the tournament. Can you win a gold medal with Quinn Hughes? Can he be the difference between Four Nations and today? Can you win a tournament like this with an elite blue line and goaltending? Probably. Canada's offense is pretty tough to look at.
Well, I would also point out that, like, I think Quinn Hughes alone could be the difference maker if their most threatening opponent didn't have a Cale Makar. I think that's kinda where it's like, well, it's kind of a wash at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I am like Slavin, I think, right? Is he fully healthy? Jacob Slavin, who has had like a
Slavin.
Slavin, sorry. He had a spectacular Four Nations tournament. Is
Yeah.
he where is he at right now in terms of health? Do we know?
I think he's good. I again, as someone who watched Slavin and covered him for years in Carolina, I've always thought that he was underappreciated. And so I liked that Four Nations was kind of his coming out party on the international stage. But I think that he is still going to be an important part of this team. I don't think you need him to go out and do more than he needs to, though. Like, he's not really an offensive defenseman. That's not really his game. I think as long as he knows his role and just does what he did in the Four Nations, then great.
What does the pairings look like on defense? Is it Quinn Hughes, Brock Faber? Of course, they know each other in Minnesota. You've got Werenski and McAvoy. Does that sound right? Slavin and Jake Sanderson. You got Hannafin, Lacombe. Seth Jones is injured, is not going to play. What do you make of the pairings? Does that sound about right?
Yeah. I think it would be. Wait. So you said
Hughes and Faber as the top pairing?
I think it's Hughes and McAvoy.
Okay.
I think it'd be Hughes and McAvoy, and then you go. That's where it gets tough because it's like you got Werenski, you have Slavin, but now you have Lacombe instead. But then I don't know.
The key is keeping Hughes and Faber together. They play together right now in the NHL. So to our earlier conversation about familiarity, why not leave those two together?
So maybe it's Hughes and Faber, and then you have Werenski, McAvoy. I think
that's what I've seen.
Yeah, I think that would make the most sense in that case. Then honestly, I think a lot of it has to do with opponent, because if you look at, like what the matchup is, just because, people had a lot of big feelings about when Seth Jones got injured and Jackson Lacombe was named his replacement. A lot of people, upset, and understandably, that Lane Hudson was not named the replacement. If you're just going strictly based on best player available, it's kind of like in the draft, right? It's about like what you need, what you're looking for. If you're going best player available, sure, Hudson would have made sense. But if you're looking for a replacement of Seth Jones, just stand those two guys next to each other and you see why it doesn't work, why it doesn't make sense. And so it depends on what you're valuing more in the matchup. Lacombe is huge. He's a brick wall. He's not going anywhere fast. And, he also has the scoring upside. Yep. And so it kind of depends on what you value. It depends on who your opponent is and what kind of matchups you want to put them in, that I think would help decide that as well.
I still think you can win the tournament with this blue line and these goaltenders, but you got to score some goals, to your point. And in particular, you're going to have to score in a key situation if you're playing against Sweden in the semis and then Canada in the final, or vice versa. So the question is, I've just pulled up the top 10 goals. I pulled up the top goal scorers. By the way, Steven Stamkos at 16th in the NHL as a top scorer with 28 goals. I'm just going to read off some names here, Emma. Number 4 in the NHL with 32 goals currently, Jason Robertson. Number 6 in the NHL for Montreal, Cole Caulfield, 32 goals. Number 9 in the NHL, Alex DeBrincat, 30 goals, all United States citizens. Do you think we should have added some more pop to the lineup with those three, or is it okay? Here we go. Here we go. JP asking the question.
100%. I'm okay with Hudson not being there as part of that question on the defense. I'm okay with it. I understand the argument both ways, but I think it is. I think that this USA forward group was assembled to win an NHL playoff series and not assembled to win international best on best hockey.
Yeah,
Um,
I kind of
the
agree.
it
You
was
can't take the
built.
Kachucks off the team though.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I,
It's built to win dump and chase physicality for nations
yes.
hockey. I agree with you. I agree
Yes.
with you.
Yes. But I think that, I understand the argument against Cole Caulfield. He's small. Okay, but that hasn't really stopped him in the NHL.
It's
So,
it's also the
I,
style of play that wins in the Olympics.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. That it's like
Okay.
if you're trying to win Olympic hockey, I think Cole Caulfield needs to be on this roster. I think that Jason Robertson, who's had a fantastic year, where the hell is he? Like that one bothers me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that he needs I think both of those I don't
Uh,
know. Both of those guys really were snubbed in my opinion. But then if you look at the obvious,
Who you
like
take
okay,
off?
who do you take off? Normally I would say a guy like Brock Nelson, but he's been having a fantastic year. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess you keep
Yeah.
him there.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I mean, who else? You look at
I mean that Miller Nelson Hughes line, but like I'm not. Who do you take off?
Vincent
Like,
Trocheck.
yeah,
Vincent,
right.
get him out of there.
Okay.
Like,
What
what
do
are
you
you
do?
doing?
You don't want to win any faceoffs and kill penalties?
No, like not if it means you're gonna lose 2-1 and
Yeah. Yeah.
every game. I think I don't know.
I mean, there's
Maybe
not an obvious name to take off though. Stylistically, it's the Kachucks, but that's the heart and soul of the team.
yeah, no. Trocheck, JT Miller, what are we doing? Like
I'm kind of
those
yeah.
guys, I don't know. I think it is Bill Guerin assembling an NHL playoff team and not a
Mm,
Olympic
mm.
gold medal team.
If they lose a final to anybody, 2-1 or 1-0 or 2-0 on an empty netter,
Mhm,
that this will be the conversation. Is why
mhm.
did they leave 3 of the top 9 goal scorers in the NHL this season off the roster?
Yep.
And I think Robertson has the most versatility of those guys. So and he's had the most product. He's a top 5 scorer in the NHL right now. I think Robertson belonged on there for sure.
Yeah.
So
I've
I
been
think that will be the critique if they don't win gold.
I've been on the Caulfield hype train for a while. Like even, before the rosters were named, I've always said that he should be on the roster. But I understand the size argument. But again, I think he's too good. Like I said, Olympic hockey is one in the small spaces. It's one in the creative offensive play. And I think that Cole
Yeah.
Caulfield is so good in that
Yeah.
space. And I think it is tragic to not have him on the roster. I also think it's tragic to not have Robertson on the roster.
So Sinkers Beverages, everybody. As you are watching U.S. women and men go for gold in the Olympics in Italia, make sure you are drinking a nice a red blend and a white blend. I feel like we should all be drinking wine while watching the Olympics in Italy. I feel like that's the right way to do this. And you can get all those wines from Sinkers Beverages. They have tremendous expertise and they will steer and select the right people. Unlike Bill Guerin, they will select the right things for your dinner table. Make sure you check out
Wow.
Sinkers Beverages.
Way to thread the needle. That
Yeah,
was
there we go.
great. Well
Yeah,
done.
like a really good Jake Gunsel pass. Okay, so here's the thing: it's gold or bust for Canada. The question is it also gold or bust for the United States? If they were to get to the gold medal match and come up short, to Canada or otherwise, how do you view the Olympics? Is it a successful tournament if they get to the gold medal match and win silver?
I mean, to me, it is
They are not the favorite. They're not the favorite.
to me, it's the expected outcome. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. I don't think it's yeah, like again, I don't think that it would be like you said, they're not favored. So now, of course, if you ask other people, like it's gold or bust. I mean, you're at the Olympics; it should be gold or bust for everyone. But I get what you're saying. I still think that it's going to be nuanced. It's going to be in the margins. It's going to be kind of reading between the lines. Well, USA needs to clearly be the better defensive group. They need to clearly be the better goaltending group. If they get outplayed in either of those aspects by Canada, then I think you could have a little bit more of a conversation about, this was a success or this was a failure. But I think at the end of the day, they're not favored to win, but where their strong suits are compared to Canada. I don't think anyone is going to realistically look at the US getting outscored by Canada and think like, what the hell? This is such a failure. That's kind of what's expected to happen. But if you get out goalied or out defensed, then maybe we have a little bit more of a conversation.
I didn't know those are verbs, but yeah, I agree.
They are now.
If you lose to Canada if they play your game and beat you, that's where you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
If you lose 6-4 because Connor McDavid has a hat trick, and you're like, God, freaking McJesus, what is he doing out there? Like, you kind of just go, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I am curious about the style of the defeat, and I think it matters. I just think this is the most talented United States hockey team we've ever seen. They had one of their best tournaments in international play we've ever seen this time last year. Granted, different style of play. There's a lot of momentum around this team right now. I think it is an opportunity to go get it done. And so, obviously, we're all rooting for them. I think it depends on how the game looks. I will not be devastated with a silver medal as a U.S. fan, but it'll be disappointing. I think for the first time ever. I think I might actually be disappointed if they don't beat Canada, because I'm just sort of like used to it. Oh, we're just going to lose to Canada. Like that's just
I would say this would be the year where they have the best chance. But that still doesn't mean that they should be favored. I still don't think they should be. And I could maybe make the argument, and I don't know. It's projecting, so it's not really fair to say this. And of course, every individual player feels their own way about this. But I think you could almost argue that it means more to Canada, or it doesn't mean as much to the US, might be the best way to put it.
Not to the players, but to all of us.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I think that the players would probably feel differently, but I think that for us, it's kind of like, I mean, again, people are going to feel their own ways about it, but I think that it means more to Canada, like the SEC. It just means more.
Yeah, I was going to say, I heard you say that, and I was like,
Yeah, I hate it. I just, you know what? I'm just going to get out in front of it. Yep, I said it.
Yeah, you lose to Sweden in the semifinal. That is absolutely possible. Sweden is a very good hockey team. Finland's a good hockey team, despite the way they played in their opening match. Czechia is the number 5 team in terms of odds, plus 2,200. It's certainly within the realm of possibility. And I think a lot of
Sweden's roster.
They're loaded
today.
They're loaded.
Lucas Raymond is like their third line center. He's got like 60 points right now in the NHL. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a great tournament, man. I'm so excited about it. I told you like last year, I was like, can't wait for the Olympics. It was like a year away. Four Nations was a huge success, and I hope that it draws big interest in both the men's and women's game this weekend. Of course, the women on a path for a collision course potentially with Canada in the gold medal match after dominating, and the men, they got a lot of work to do, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, the women play Italy on the 13th in their quarterfinal match. And then you've got the 16th and the 19th, and then the men will play Latvia, Germany, and Denmark and Germany in that order over the next 4 days. So by Sunday, we'll kind of know. By the time we get together next week, it'll be prior to the tournament starting, and we'll have a really good sense of who the goaltender is and what the blue line pairings are and what kind of team we've got going into the tournament. So we'll see. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you for indulging me, Emma, on a giant Olympic preview. It's a lot of fun. I'm very excited about it. I hope all of you are excited about it. And there's nothing else to watch in the NHL right now. So I guarantee you, though, when they get back from break on whatever day it is, like the 22nd or something like that, like whatever day they get back, I guarantee you there's like 37 trades announced.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be like July 1st free agency.
Yeah.
None of you guys were talking, except for all of these deals have been agreed to.
Yeah, crazy how that works.
It's gonna be a lot of fun, actually.
Also, last note on the Olympics, Philip Forsberg is currently skating as the extra forward for Sweden today, but I personally would not really read anything into that other than it's the first game. Let's maybe not put him in there when we don't have to. Give a guy like, I don't know, Pontus Holmberg a chance. I don't know. I think a lot of people are having some big feelings about it, and I would just say if this was a more meaningful game, then I would get it. But right now, I'm like, I understand. Maybe you're a little bit upset. You want to see him. I get that, but
Yep. Starts
I would
in
maybe not read too much into it.
starts in 1 minute, so enjoy that on the Gold Zone, which is a fantastic watch on Peacock. So check it out. Sinkers Beverages, Emma Lingan. I am Braden Gall. Thank you all for listening and hanging out. We'll have more Olympics coverage as it pertains to the Preds and to the United States teams coming up next week on the show, so stay tuned for that. More rumors and GM search information as well. Please support good local businesses. Sinkers is one of them. 440 is one of them. Lower Broad Hockey. Emma is a local small business as well, all to herself. So make sure you support all these great folks doing work in the market to cover hockey here in Nashville. Do appreciate all you guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. We will talk to you next time. Peace and love, everybody. USA.